I hope everyone has had an amazing day. In today's video, we're going to be going over some of the Mega Evolutions that weren't able to make much of an impact in the Legends ZA pet mod metagame on Pokemon Showdown. Now, some of these new Mega Evolutions were pretty cool, like Greninja and Delphox, and even something like Mega Chestnut was a decent mon. But there are some Mega Evolutions that failed to have any sort of impact on the metagame at large, and I basically want to go over those Pokemon and let you know why they haven't really seen as much success as some of the other new Megas. And this is exclusively only the new Megas that were introduced in Legends ZA. Obviously, I could bring up the fact that Mega Houndoom, Glalie, Ampharos, and so on have not been able to do anything, but that wouldn't be interesting because we all know why this mon suck. We've had them for about 12 years at this point. But yeah, if you guys do enjoy this video, leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel. Join the kingdom. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Only 1 month left to go, and I want to thank everyone for all the support recently. But either way, let's get into talking about these new Mega Evolutions. So in the ZA builder now, and I have a full team of new Mega Evolutions that, according to the usage stats, you know, are the least used. Like, these are the Megas with the least amount of usage, and to be fair, if you're not used a lot, then there's clearly an issue. So either way, I'm going to do this in no particular order, just so I can kind of make you guys envision or guess, or try to guess, which of these Mega Evolutions has the least amount of usage, therefore which one is some of the worst. But either way, we're going to start with Mega Pyro, because I believe, oops, I clicked on base Pyro. We're going to start with Mega Pyro just because of the fact that I believe Mega Pyro is the one out of these that has the most potential to be good. I really think that Mega Pyro could actually stand out from the other fire type Mega Evolutions like Mega Houndoom and Mega Charizard Y. Unfortunately, it really depends on what ability he gets, but in terms of this metagame, we decided to give it Drought. Now, when this metagame first came out, you know, mid to late October, like pretty much 2-3 weeks ago, Pyro had a custom ability. Now, a lot of the people that have been playing this meta game, and it's been getting a lot of plays over the last 2 or 3 weeks, you know, some people aren't a fan of the custom abilities because, again, they're not realistic. Like, some of the abilities are absolutely crazy and something that Game Freak would never actually make. But, you know, like, it's to like have some fun at the end of the day with these new megas, rather than them just getting their base abilities. Like Pyro, Mega Pyro getting Rivalry, is that really fun? Rivalry is like one of the worst abilities of all time. So yeah, but we had a custom ability for Mega Pyro called Leader the Pride or something. Like, it had some broken ass ability that was basically Orichalcum Pulse but for special attack, and it made Pyro quite a menace to deal with, especially with this stat spread. Like, Pyro had a very unique and key speed tier. It's still a very key speed tier even in the ZA metagame right now, base 126. If you look at the speed tiers, Pyro is pretty much near the top of this list, and I think the most important thing for Mega Pyro was the fact that it's able to outspeed base Greninja. Now, being a fire type, being able to outspeed Greninja is actually pretty good, because if you're slower than Greninja, you're obviously going to have a pretty bad time. But, you know, being faster and being able to actually Oko or Solar Beam, for example, due to the fact that it basically had, well, before Drought, the Orichalcum Pulse spot special attacking, you're able to Oko base Greninja. That was a very good thing that Mega Pyro had going for it. Now, obviously, having the Orichalcum Pulse for special attack made Pyro a menace, and it was very tough to switch into, and a lot of people did not like Mega Pyro. They thought it was too strong. So, unfortunately, it got changed to Drought. Now, Drought is a more balanced and fair ability that made a lot of Pokemon really good, like Talker and Ninetales in specific metagames. And again, we have no idea if Pyro is actually going to get Drought as its mega ability. We really do not know anything. But, you know, Drought is still a useful ability for it, though the lacking damage output is noticeable without the 33% booster special attack. Because at this point, why would I want to use Mega Pyro over Zard Y? Now, you'll say that Mega Pyro is significantly faster at 126 speed, but the lack of damage is very notable. Like, Zard Y does a hell of a lot of damage, like, it really does. And Zard Y comes with a lot of coverage options as well. Like, back in Gen 6, before it had Scorching Sands, Focus Blast was a good way of even beating T-Tar, for example. Like, T-Tar actually couldn't switch into Zard Y comfortably. And then obviously in Generation, is Scorching Sands a Gen 8 move? yeah, it's a Gen 8 move. So in like Natdex formats, it got Scorching Sands, which meant that it could actually beat something like Heatran reliably without having to risk Focus Blast. So, you know, it has very good coverage options. It has very strong stabs, like Weather Ball. It getting Weather Ball in Gen 7 was very big for it. You know, Solar Beam hits water type, Scorching Sands, Focus Blast, so on. Pyro doesn't really like have anything other than stab, Solar Beam, and Earth Power, which you could say is enough. Again, Zard got away with using Fire Stab and you know, ground coverage with Scorching Sands, but again, it's just the special attack stat. Like, look at Pyro's special attack, 357 versus Zard Wise 417. So obviously Pyro was starting to fall off once his ability got changed to balance it out. But yeah, realistically, I feel like if Mega Pyro got Drought like real, like in canon, that would be quite helpful. But it needs an offensive ability to really stand out. And to be honest, like, Drought gives it some offensive capabilities, but again, that only boosts its fire type moves. Like 129 special attack isn't all that. Because if you look at something like Mega Greninja, which actually has again, Mega Greninja's a crazy Pokemon in its own right, but again, that thing only comes with 133 special attack, which isn't too far off from Mega Pyro's. Plus, you know, Mega Greninja gets access to Nasty Claw, so it can actually double that stat. Pyro only gets Work Up, and you know, it just struggles. So overall, that's why, like, it fell off in usage essentially. I feel like if it kept its custom ability, it would have been a lot better off. But yeah, Pyro is unfortunately living quite a sad existence, and I do hope it gets a pretty solid ability, or else this mon is not really going to succeed in any, like, it's not going to really succeed in standard play formats. Like, it won't be seen the light of OU in any, like, Champions format Gen 10 if it doesn't get an offensive ability. Next up, I want to talk about Mega Falinks, because Mega Falinks is probably like the saddest. Like, I feel the most sympathy and sadness for Mega Falinks compared to the other Megas that we're going to be speaking about on this list, just because I feel like everything could go right for it. Like, Mega Falinks gets 135 attack, 135 defense, and 100 speed. Like, they're not crazy ass stats. Again, this was a mon coming in with 470 BST, and for 570 is not that bad. But again, like, Falinks kind of just has, like, average to, like, is ranging from average to above average in pretty much every single stat other than, like, special attack, which doesn't matter, and then special defense is really lacking. So, but 65 HP, like, I don't know, it's built like, it's not built like a really, like, strong 570 mon. Like, look at any of the other, like, decently powerful Paradoxes, and their stat spreads, even with 570 BST, is a lot better than Mega Falinks. But we're not here to talk about the stats, because even with, like, again, the stats aren't bad. So obviously a mon, if it doesn't have super duper bad stats, then obviously ability, moves, typing will carry it. But unfortunately, that just has not been the case for Mega Falinks at all. In terms of why it sees practically no usage and is basically considered to be one of the worst Megas if we're going off of usage alone, you know, in terms of other fighting type Megas, you know, I'd rather use Mega Gallade, I'd rather use Mega Lopunny. The issue with Falinks is that it's not even that fast. Like, it has 100 speed. Like, 100 speed is not cutting it anymore. Like, being speed time with something like Mega Dragonite, which will beat you anyway, being outsped by Mega Diancie, that, like, 100 speed just does not cut it anymore, and it's a shame, to be honest, because Falinks is actually decently powerful, 135 attack, but at the same time, with 100 speed, it just doesn't cut it. Like, again, think of something like Zard X, for example. Zard X comes in with 100 base speed, but Zard X actually has significantly higher defenses. Well, not in the defense stat, but it has a significantly higher special defense, higher HP, and obviously only has 5 less attack. But when you take Tough Claws into account and the fact it gets SD and Dragon Dance, it is just more useful than something like Falinks, for example. And then obviously just being outclassed, there's just better Megas to be running as well, so Mega Falinks hardly saw any usage. But it's sad as well, in my opinion, because obviously it has access to No Retreat, which Omni boosts all its stats, excluding evasion and accuracy. And then you get moves like Close Combat, Iron Head, and Knockoff to actually get past, like, your defensive checks like Ghosts and Fairy type Pokemon. And also the ability is not even that bad as well. Brass Bond is actually a custom ability that we gave it, which isn't actually as cracked. A lot of people are just like, oh, these custom abilities are kind of broken, but Brass Bond is pretty balanced if you ask me. So you hit 3 times. The first hit obviously does standard damage, but the 2 next hits will do 15% of the original damage. So it hits 3 times, so it's like Parental Bond, but Parental Bond is obviously 25% on the second hit, but Brass Bond obviously hits 3 times, so you wouldn't want to be hitting 2 extra hits doing 25%. That would be kind of crazy. But you know, it's balanced in that way, so like it works with the concept of Mega Falinks as well, due to the fact that you know, it's Falinks stacking on top of each other, and obviously Falinks are made up of separate individual entities. But other than that, No Retreat is really the best set you can run on this guy, and that's the problem. Like, obviously Falinks gets access to Swords Dance, but why am I going to be using Swords Dance Falinks when I can use Swords Dance Mega Glade or Swords Dance Mega Lopunny? Like, again, Falinks is speed tier, and it's not even like, again, Mega Glade like out damages this thing immensely, and Lopunny pretty much has the same attack stat but significantly higher speed, high enough speed to outspeed most of the metagame at large, while Falinks is kind of just like, you see how far I have to scroll down, like this is like middle of the pack of the speed tiers in the metagame. But yeah, No Retreat is obviously really bad, even though it only boosts you because you can't switch out. So once you engage with Falinks, it's a gung-ho sort of, you know, YOLO mindset with a Pokemon like this, and obviously it has a multitude of checks, like Unaware Clef will handle, like Fizz Def Unaware Clef will handle Iron Head, you know, flinch chance willing, and obviously you're just gonna Oko back with Moonblast because this thing has no special defense. So yeah, it's very easy to check, and it's not that bulky even with the +1 special defense boost, and yeah, there's just other better megas, so it obviously makes sense why Falinks has seen like practically no usage at all. Obviously we've had over 250k games, and you know, there's a couple thousand games of Falinks, like maybe 10,000 or 12,000, but again, that isn't a lot considering the fact that we have almost 250k games played. So yeah, it's a shame for Falinks, to be honest, because I actually do like Falinks as a Pokemon quite a lot. Now Mega Drampa is quite like, this is also another Pokemon that I feel quite sad about, because like you have base Drampa as a Pokemon with 485 BST, and you get this stat spread which realistically doesn't look that bad. Like if Mega Drampa dropped in like Gen 6, this mon easily would have been like UU minimum, like RU max, like would have not dropped below RU, because Drampa has quite a multitude of good moves. It would have gotten Roost, it would have gotten Glare, and Glare was 75% paralysis speed drop back in Gen 6 before the nerf. Yeah, like this thing would have not been below RU in Gen 6 whatsoever. But the issue nowadays is that power creep is so hefty, especially with even these new mega evolutions that we got in ZA. Drampa is just kind of falling behind. It's a decently bulky Pokemon, and even with Gen 9's crazy power creep, and again with these mega evolutions and some of the stats that they bring, like this bulk doesn't really mean much in the long run, particularly when you take into account that your defensive typing is pretty average. Like I would say 5 out of 10 average. Like normal dragon, you have like 4 weaknesses, and you have the elemental resistances, you know, to water, fire, electric, and grass, which you do have to kind of respect, but you're getting an extra fighting weakness. You're still weak to Fairy, you're still weak to Ice. Very common attacking types in this metagame. And yeah, Drampa is just too slow to keep up, despite its massive damage output. Is a thing where you can get something with comparable damage output while having a speed tier, you know, and that's why Mega Drampa hasn't really succeeded much in the ZA OU metagame. The only time I saw Mega Drampa was when what do you call it? It was using it was used on Trick Room actually, and Trick Room right now kind of sucks, to be honest. We're gonna wait until DLC. Like I don't want to say what mons are coming in DLC, but we're getting some mons that are actually real Trick Room setters, so maybe this mon can do something again. But again, it's a thing where like if you're relying on Trick Room to really see the most use out of a Pokemon, it's not really that good in the first place. And to be fair, I love my Trick Room, but Mega Drampa might not even be my first choice for a Trick Room Mega Evolution. Like Camera Up is slower than Drampa, and arguably has a higher damage output thanks to Sheer Force boosting Earth Power and Fire Blast. Drampa has to rely on Draco Meteor and Hyper Voice, which are not the most reliable stab options, considering the fact that both types have like two separate types that are immune to them, Ghost and the Fairy respectively. And then, you know, you're kind of like, the coverage is good, don't get me wrong. Fire Blast, Earth Power, Energy Ball, T-Ball. Like, Drampa is not lacking on the moves department, and is not that lacking on the damage department. It's just too slow and very exploitable to take advantage of, and you don't really want to be using a one like that too consistently, because again, it's just not that consistent. But yeah, despite a really cool design, again, watch my Mega Evolutions ranking video. I really like Mega Drampa's design. Again, Kaido One Piece sort of vibe, so I do enjoy it. But realistically, I feel like the only set that you could get working outside of Trick Room is either like, you could go like some Fizz Death or bulky Drampa set with like Glare, Roost, be like a Power Spammer to support your teammates, and then just run the appropriate coverage like Fire Blast and you know, Roost, Draco Meteor. Like, this pretty much should get the job done versus everything else. Like, your Draco Meteor is going to be hitting very hard even without any special attack investment, and then you should be decently bulky with like physical defensive investment, or you could even go like Fizz Death, Calm Mind with Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, and Roost. The same thing. Issue is obviously Draco Meteor is going to half your special attack stat, so if you want to go Dragon Pulse, I guess that could work. And yeah, maybe you could get something working like this, but otherwise Mega Drampa is very hard to justify right now. Mega Meganium is probably the Pokemon that got nerfed the worst in terms of the ZA Megas. Well, some of them haven't really got nerfed, only a few have gone nerfed in the first place. But Mega Meganium was one that pretty much just got killed on impact, because originally we gave it Triarge as an ability. And if you guys don't know what Triarge is, it's Comfey signature ability, where you get +3 priority on every healing move that you have. And obviously Meganium becoming a fairy type, it doesn't get Draining Kiss, and I think that's intentional from them, which is quite unfortunate. Draining Kiss would have been really cool, and it would have really helped out Triarge sets as well. But you know, you still had access to Giga Drain, Synthesis, Leech Seed doesn't count, but you know, Giga Drain was probably the biggest one. And Meganium was seeing a lot of play in the first few days / first weeks, because like, even though we had broken stuff running around like Mega Metagross, Zygarde 50 and so on, you know, you're able to actually check Mega Greninja, since Giga Drain would obviously activate before you click Sludge Wave / Gunk Shot, and then you'd obviously OHKO that back if it's like set up a nasty plot. Also applies to Battleborn Gren, where it'll get a boost in speed after a kill, and at that point Battleborn Gren could end games on his own. So, you know, having Meganium was pretty nice for that. 2, Mega Blastoise as well. I remember day 2, I was using Mega Blastoise, faced the Mega Meganium. I was like, cool, I'm going to kill this thing with Ice Beam. And I don't even know if you can actually kill it with Ice Beam. I'm assuming so, at +2. But Giga Drain just killed me back, and I couldn't do anything about it. But yeah, it got changed to Flower Veil, which isn't actually a bad ability. A lot of people say Flower Veil is kind of useless. But, you know, we've never really seen Flower Veil on a Pokemon other than Florges and, you know, Eternal Floette. So Flower Veil never really applies in the singles context, because this ability prevents status and secondary effects or moves if you're grass type, and obviously Floette and Florges are not grass types. So it really only had doubles application for the longest time. But giving it to an actual grass type like Meganium means it's immune to Toxic, it's immune to, you know, oh wait, it's not secondary effects, it's stat drops, my bad. Because I saw this interaction like 2 days ago. I used my Prankster Sableye to try and parting shot out of a Mega Meganium, and then Flower Veil activated. I was like, fuck. This was a Mega Sableye, by the way, so I wasn't actually getting blown up by Dazzling Gleam straight away, because that was some bulk investment. But yeah, man, Flower Veil's not bad, but it's not Triarge. And, you know, that just kind of stops people from using Mega Meganium, because it's like there's no reason to use it. Again, this is all just in the context of the ZA OU metagame, so I don't want you guys thinking Mega Meganium is like one of the worst Megas that we got from Legend ZA. Again, we really can't gauge it until we see the actual real ability. So just think of this as like make-believe. But again, this is the metagame that's being played quite a bit right now, so I think making content on it is, you know, appropriate. And, you know, Mega Meganium in this context, in this metagame, isn't doing too hot. Again, Grass and Fairy is a good typing. Imagine having this shit in like SVOU. Ogopon would be crying. Ogopon would be crying. There'd be so many Pokemon that Mega Meganium would check in SVOU. Would be insane. But Grass Fairy isn't as comfortable in this metagame compared to if it was in SVOU. There's a lot of common weaknesses, particularly to poison. Like, you don't even check Mega Greninja reliably. Like, that's gonna click Gunk Shot or Sludge Wave and you die. You know, you're weak to Steel, so Ogre Slash pressures you a bit. You're weak to Fire. Volcanion is going to give you some issues. Like, the typing is good, but in the context of the metagame, there's a lot that threatens you quite a bit. So it's just a shame about Mega Meganium. But I know this one will have its time when, you know, Champions comes out or Gen 10 comes out, because I believe in it. Again, it depends on the ability. Because the stats are good, the typing is, like, good, and, like, I feel like this is Meganium's first time to really shine since, like, Generation 2, for example. Our penultimate Mega Evolution we'll be speaking about in today's video is Mega Emboar. You know, I will have the sprites here anyway. Like, they're all just blank for me, but I'll just add in the pictures either here or, like, here. Doesn't really matter. I think here is probably going to be better so you guys know what these guys look like. But Mega Emboar hasn't really been too hot. A lot, again, like, it's a similar situation to Mega Falinks, where the fighting type Mega slot and also just the general Mega slot in the real metagame, like, it's a very competitive thing, the Mega slot in this metagame. And you know, even if you were to just filter it out to fighting type Mega Evolutions, Emboar is not really going to be your first, second, it's not going to be your choice. Like, I'd rather choose Mega Chestnut, Mega Lopunny, Mega Gallade, potentially Mega Medicham 100%, and then even Mega Scrafty over Mega Emboar, and then you're kind of just left with, like, Hawlucha, Heracross, and Falinks. I do think Mega Emboar has more going for it than Falinks. Sorry, Falinks to say. Even Mega Barbarical, there's so many fighting type Mega Evolutions, and then you're taking the other Mega Evolutions into account, and Emboar just doesn't stand out enough. It's just not good enough to really stand up with the guys. Very interesting stat spread though. They didn't really buff its defense for some reason, which I find very interesting. They gave it 110 special defense, which I don't really see the rationale behind that. So at least you can take some special hits decently well. You can take special hits quite well now. Again, Emboar has always had a really good HP stat, but the defenses have always been lagging behind. But, you know, you get, I think you get a 10 boost to special to defense from 65, and then obviously you get a 45 boost to special defense, which I don't get why they just added it into. It's a very weird stat distribution. Anyway, Mega Emboar in this metagame got access to Supreme Overlord, which, again, on a mon like King Gambit, is very egregious to deal with, but on a mon like Mega Emboar, not so much. Not so much. King Gambit has a much better defensive typing, despite the fact it has a 4x fighting weakness, because at the end of the day, it only has 2 weaknesses to fight, no, 3 weaknesses actually, to ground, fighting, and fire. While Mega Emboar is coming with a multitude of weaknesses, which are including flying, psychic, ground, water. To be honest, that's actually not that much, to be fair. Like, you cancel out your rock weakness and what do you call it? You cancel out your you cancel out your fairy weakness as well. So you only have like a few weaknesses. But at the same time, the issues become very apparent when you use Mega Emboar, because again, it's really at its peak when your teammates are dead, and if your teammates are dead, then you're closer and closer to losing the game. It's not a thing where a King Gambit can set up, click Sucker Punch 6 times and actually kill something that fallen 5, even a resisted hit from like 60%, because that's what King Gambit is capable of. But Emboar doesn't get stabbed on Sucker Punch, so it can't really do that. At most, it can like bulk up Trailblaze, but there hasn't been any really real successful Emboars that have been seen on the ladder, or anyone even mentioning the fact that, oh, Emboar is actually pretty good, you know. It's not good. It's the unfortunate reality, because even you have 148 attack. I won't deny that's very strong. You're stronger than King Gambit. Even at Fallen 5, you're not going to want to switch into Flare Blitz or Close Combat. Even Heat Crash, to be honest, because Emboar is kind of heavy. But, you know, again, 75 speed, a multitude of very common weaknesses, particularly to water and psychic. E.g. Mega Starmie, you're gonna just fall to that. You're gonna fall to Volcanion. Like, there's just a lot of things that can take your hits, even with Supreme Overlord, assuming you're not at Fallen 5. But at that point, you know, you're more likely to lose than win, because, you know, you're not gonna sweep. It's not fast, and so non-stab Fallen 5 Sucker Punch, unless you're really, really frail, you're not gonna die. So at this point, like, Mega Emboar has just not really seen any play. But if you guys do want to try and make it work, you do have Flare Blitz, CC, Sucker Punch, and Bulk Up. This is the main set that I've seen. I didn't mention Trailblaze before, but I don't even know if Trailblaze is worth it. Again, this thing is so slow at +1. You don't even outspeed something like Mega Greninja. You only reach around 409 speed, which again is enough to get the jump on Mega Delphox, but you'll just sucker punch that and beat it anyway, so that doesn't really matter. And then obviously the Mega Lopunny being the most important one means you can actually beat that, but not being able to outspeed Greninja, that's not looking good for you, bro, I'll be honest. So Trailblaze probably just isn't really worth it in the end, and then again, there's just a lot that pressures it, so there's a reason why it hasn't really been used all that much. I feel like it's poetic that I leave this Mega Evolution for last, seeing how this was one of the first Mega Evolution new videos that I made on my channel. But Mega Victreebel, the Pokemon that I guessed its stats like pretty much like almost right, other than like special defense, I believe. Like I guessed everything else correct about it. But either way, I'll tell you my logic was explained in that video. Again, I might just be a god, but either way, yeah, Mega Victreebel. You know, this is the last Mega we're going to speak about, because in terms of the other new Megas, a lot of them saw a bit more usage. I'll say above like 5% usage, even for some of the, at the minimum at least. So I was like, cool. Like, I'm not going to speak about Mega Scrafty, or I don't even know what other Mega evolutions we got. Mega Chandelier. Like, I'm not going to speak about those guys because they actually saw a good bit more usage. So yeah, Mega Victreebel, what's going on with this guy here? Very interesting stat spread. Is definitely a lot bulkier. Like, I wouldn't call this mon frail anymore, though. If you take really high power level formats, like I'm assuming the Champions metagame is going to be incredibly high power level, so I don't know if this bulk can keep up. Like, again, this is going to be a very lower tier level Pokemon at that, so obviously it hasn't really assimilated much into the OU metagame because there's not much going for it really. Corrosion Toxic is pretty much the only thing that's going for this guy, I'll be honest. Like, if I was to load up a Mega Victreebel team, as I have seen over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've only seen about 2 or 3, it's literally just Corrosion Toxic, because at that point, there's a lot of steel types running around, e.g. Excadrill, e.g. Skarmory, e.g. Scizor. You know, being able to toxic those guys is very, very key. And the fact that you could actually go a decently bulkier set now, because you have a pretty solid 85 base defense. With investment, you're going to be decently bulky enough. You get access to Strength Sap. You have Sludge Bomb. Like, I don't want to sleep on Mega Victreebel. Like, I wouldn't say this is a purely bad Pokemon. Like, I would say Mega Absol sucks. I would say Mega Abomasnow is pretty bad, and I would also say something like well, some of the other worst Mega evolutions. I wouldn't even call Mega Houndoom bad, because again, it has the stats to succeed, just not at the highest level. But you know, I don't think Mega Victreebel sucks, assuming it keeps Corrosion. But I feel like if they did give it Corrosion and Cannon, it would actually succeed quite well, because just toxic spamming, toxic immune, like nothing is safe unless you have Magic Guard. And obviously, if we take champions into account, that metagame in the future, the fact that, you know, cleric moves are basically dead and gone, so there's no aromatherapy, there's no more heal bell. So toxic is going to be pretty free if it has corrosion. But in terms of the context of this metagame, though, I don't even know if you want sludge, but it's not like you get, you finally get sludge wave. But I was thinking about like Chestnut, for example, like, but you're just toxic that anyway. But yeah, in terms of this metagame, yeah, there's just not much appeal to using it. Like, there's stronger threats, you don't really have chlorophyll, so at that, like, weather's not really a thing in this metagame anyway, because there's no, oops, that was the manual I was reading, my bad, guys. But yeah, yeah, so doesn't really hit hard enough, it's not really fast enough. Typing is kind of exploitable as well, like you're weak to ice, which is not good. Mega Greninja victim. You're weak to psychic as well, but you do have some key resistances. I think having a fairy resistance is very useful. Your grass type that's neutral to U-turn, and your grass type that's neutral to U-turn, and your poison type that's not weak to ground. Though the grass type comes into a bit more play at least for this Pokemon. So being a grass type that doesn't resist ground doesn't really help your case. Particularly the fact if you want to switch into mons like Excadrill consistently, even with 85 base defense, you're still taking EQ not too well. But you do have Strength Sap, so that kind of makes up for it. But yeah, Mega Victreebel hasn't really stood out from, like, all the Mega Evolutions I've spoken about in this video are just kind of suffering from the problems that I've listed about them. And to be fair, I feel like in their own respective metagames, whether like if some of them end up in a UU, RU NU at least. I don't think any of these Pokemon should be lower than NU realistically, but like, I don't know, maybe Drampa might stay in NU, but you know, even that mon has some potential in some higher tier 100%, and you know, assuming he keeps the moves that it needs, I don't know, it's probably going to lose Roost, if anything, in terms of non-Nat Dex formats, so that would be a bit bad. But yeah, a lot of these Mega Evolutions just fail to stand out compared to the stronger ones, and even some of the stronger original Megas that we got in Generation 6. And yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy this one. Let me know down below what you think about some of these Mega Evolutions, and how do you think we could make them succeed a bit more, whether we could give them new abilities to make them succeed, like Drizzle with Drampa. I don't know how much of that makes sense. For example, even something like Pyroar, if you could think of some offensive ability that might help it out, that would be quite nice. But yeah, I'm enjoying to see, or I'm anticipating to see some of you guys' comments in the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.